trays that I have. These ones I haven't used yet. All the other ones are being used with the flowers, so I will transplant those and show you transplanting before I fill them. But in these ones, I'm going to put nasturtium, which I didn't have these last week when I did the flowers, so I'm a little bit behind, but I'll get these in these going today. And then lavender. So the lavender has been in the freezer for the past 3 weeks. You want it to go through like a cold spell in order to get used, because these are our perennials that come back every year. Now, lavender is very difficult to grow, apparently. I tried last year, it did not work. So I'm gonna try again this year. And it might also be worth it to me that if it doesn't work, that I just go buy some and plant it in the ground. But I'm gonna try it again this year. I'm gonna use 1 full tray for the nasturtium and 1 full tray for the lavender to see if I can get those growing. And then once I transplant some of the flowers over, I am going to plant my peppers. All right, so just kind of like I did last week, same thing, I'm gonna fill it up with dirt. I'm going to plant the seeds, water them, put the saran wrap over top of it and label it, and then put it downstairs underneath my grow lights. There's no rhyme or reason the way I just dump it and then try to spread a little bit. It would be cleaner to do it outside, but it's raining today and I really wanted to get some of this done, so I'm doing it inside just like I did last week, and I'll clean up the mess later. Okay, so I have my nasturtium in one side, in one tray, and then my lavender another. Nasturtium seeds are pretty large, so we just put 1 in each. Now lavender seeds are very small, so quite honestly I just kind of sprinkled a few in each seedling spot and then gently pressed it into the soil. I'm going to go ahead and water these. We're going to put some saran wrap on top of it, and then take them downstairs to start to see them grow. Okay, so now we are on to transplanting some of our seedlings from the smaller containers into the larger containers. I have 3.5 inch by 3.5 inch containers. I actually just got these this year because I used to use solo cups, which are great, but you have to drill the bottom of the hole, and then you have to have another solo cup with rocks in it in order to catch the water and allow it to drain. So this year I kind of splurged and decided I'm going to buy some trays with containers in it. So there's 12 per tray, which is nice, and I feel like I can actually, some of my plants, some of my flowers, I'm actually going to put 2 in one of these instead of 1 in each. Once I get to my tomato plants and some of my vegetables, I will probably just use 1 per container to allow them to grow a little bigger. But some of my flowers, like my sunflowers that I'm going to transplant today, I'm going to actually put 2 in 1 container. If I need to separate them later, I can, but otherwise it should work. So anyway, what you need is, in order to transplant to bigger containers, you need potting mix. So I had bought a big, huge bag of potting mix from Costco the other day. So I'm just going to fill all of these containers with that potting mix, and then we will transplant some of our sunflowers and some of my zinnias that I had planted initially before everything else. I'm going to transplant those. Once I get that done, then we will plant the peppers. All right, so we're going to kind of come on over here. These containers actually came with this handy dandy little scoop here. So I'm going to use this, and then I have this big old bag of potting mix from on the ground here. I'm just going to cut it open and I can scoop it out. Let's see here, get some scissors. Here I can just kind of keep it on the ground. Again, I'm doing this inside. You could do it outside, which would probably be a lot cleaner, but it's raining today, so I'm just going to do it inside. So we're just going to fill each of our containers. And keep it on going. Okay, so I filled about 18 of these. I ended up just kind of scooping them in the bag and putting it in there a lot quicker. So now, I only filled 18 for right now to actually figure out how many plants I have. Now when you plant your seedlings or even the plants in the garden, you can count on losing about 10%. It's pretty typical. So I always plant extra just to hopefully make up for that 10% that you're gonna lose. So anyway, so I've got my seedling tray. You can see some of the sunflower roots are already kind of pouring all the way through. So we definitely want to get these into a bigger plot. The thing I like about these is I can just kind of pop it right up, and then I can grab the soil and I can get the whole plant. So I'm just gonna dig a little area here, kind of plant that down, and you want to cover that, a little bit of the stem too. You don't want it just the stem. You don't want it to plant it just up to the stem. I like to plant it in for about an inch to kind of support that thin stem there. And then I'm gonna actually do 2 in each of these if I can. I'm gonna dig right down in there and just kind of plant it all the way down and cover it up. And once again, we're just gonna kind of keep going through and planting 2 of these in each of the pots. Okay, so I've got everything potted nicely. We're gonna water them just a little bit, and then I also have them labeled. Make sure you label them, that way you know what's what, unless you're really good with identifying the plants and the small seedlings. I'm not great at it, so I like to label them. Another thing to note is as the seedlings start to get their second leaves, you can pinch off those first leaves. The first leaves don't really do anything. I have some of my sunflowers, they're starting their second leaves, and usually when they start the second leaves, that's when you want to transplant them. You don't typically want to do it much before. My sunflowers are getting really tall and lanky, so I thought, let's just get them into a bigger pot. That way it kind of covers the stem a little bit and makes them a little bit sturdier. So I did the sunflowers probably a little bit earlier, as some of them haven't quite got their second leaves. These zinnias, most of them have their second leaves, and as I posted on the last video, I was kind of pinching some of them off already. So I'm just going to go through and kind of pinch off these first leaves of some of them that are getting the second leaves as well, or their true leaves is what they're called, their second leaves. All right, so now after we've gotten that done, I'm going to head to take my seedling tray that the sunflowers were in. I'm going to put some seedling soil in there, and I'm going to plant my peppers. Now, my peppers, we don't tend to use a ton of peppers. I plan on planting some peppers to chop them up for sauces, for salsa. I have some hotter peppers and some jalapenos because I want to make pepper jelly. I had an employee that made it last year, and it was so good that I decided I really want some of that. So I probably am going to fill a full tray with 4 or 5 different peppers. Some of the smaller peppers, I'm only going to do 4 of them. That way, if I lose 1 or 2, no big deal. There's typically quite a few peppers that come on one plant anyway, so if one of them takes off, then I might get quite a few peppers in order to make that jelly. So anyway, I'm going to plan on planting a total of 36, give or take that 10%, in my garden, and hopefully that will be enough for me and my family. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and kind of get that going. Should be pretty quick because it is just one full tray. Now, you could label these all separate, whatever pepper it is. I'm not even sure that I'm going to do that. I'll label my green peppers and my jalapenos, but ultimately once they start to grow, at least in the garden, then I'll see what they are, but I'm not too picky on my peppers there. When it comes to like my tomatoes, I definitely want to know which tomato is which. Because my San Marzanos, I like to can them whole, so I definitely want to keep those separate from the other ones. But the peppers, I'll just kind of all plant together anyway and see what we get. Alright, so I've got some Big Jim peppers, Hungarian peppers, Anaheim peppers, jalapeno, and then regular green and red peppers. So I'm going to do 4 of each of the Big Red, Hungarian, and Anaheim, just because again 12 plants total, so maybe if 10 grow, that's plenty for those type of peppers that we really don't use. And then the jalapeno peppers, I'm going to do 6 total of those, and then actually 12. I think I'm going to do 12 of these because I want a ton of jalapenos for my salsa, and the pepper jelly, the jalapeno flavor is what you really want. And then I'll do another 12 of the green and red pepper. So anyway, I'm just going to go ahead and kind of get these going. This should go pretty quickly because there's not many. There's 4 of each. All right, and just like the other ones, I'm going to water it, cover it in plastic, label it, and we're taking all these downstairs under the grow lights. All right, so that is week 2 of my planting. Wait until probably be a couple weeks from now, but I will update you when I'm ready to start the next batch of planting. All right, so stay tuned so that you can see the progression as we go along, getting our seedlings all planted and the progress of them growing underneath the lights.